What's up, everyone? My name is Vince, and I recently decided to join the fray of FPV drones. As a complete beginner to any of this, of course, YouTube would prove to be more than helpful, especially after stumbling upon Joshua Bardwell's videos and some helpful info from my good friend Mark, who also recently got into the hobby. I say hobby for now, but something tells me this will become much more than just a fun pastime. So here I am, for the very first time controlling the drone in the liftoff simulator. My plan is to dedicate anywhere from 50 to 100 hours in this simulator before I take my drone out for its first official flight outdoors. I should mention just before this, there were a few short tutorial stages that basically just explained how to apply throttle, yaw, pitch and roll. But this is my first time the simulator expects me to utilize all of those controls to land in the colored circles indicated by a holographic dome. Basically, at this point, I'm using every brain cell I can muster to quickly try to understand what the controls do, but also trying to hover at a stable altitude, which proves difficult, of course. You can see I seldom get the drone to go anywhere close to the desired destination. I want to mention that in a short 20 minutes of this, I knew how challenging it would be to truly feel in control of my movements. I've been a full-time barber for the better part of 12 years, and I continue to try to have a student mindset and love to learn and practice my craft, and I can safely assume learning to control something like this that can move in a 3D space won't be an easy task, but I think it will be generously rewarding for anyone willing to put the time in. Happy that I made it through that first challenge, we move on to the task of flying through these gates, controlling the drone to fly forward, ascend, and descend. I forgot to mention, in that first part of the video, the simulator required that I fly in a viewpoint of what I think is called line of sight flying. Basically a third-person view of the drone for my gamers out there, and this is my first time flying in first-person view. This task, of course, proves just as difficult as the first, but at least I'm getting to see and begin to understand what I'll be looking at in my goggles. I'm very excited during this, but also extremely focused on reinforcing and building the mindset of setting realistic expectations of progression and telling myself to not get discouraged because I don't understand everything right away. So we see, I can only dream of flying and ascending through that elevated gate. It's the only thing I want in the world at this moment. I decide to fly off a bit and have some fun, but for the first time I am met with boundaries. Ooh. I tell myself I shouldn't get distracted and fly off like that, as to not build any bad habits before I even begin to understand the fundamentals. But I can't help it. The tunes are going, and I just feel like vibing and push the drone to its limits. I flop my sticks around in all sorts of directions, and am so very glad that this simulator exists. After flying for about an hour for my first time, I called it a night on the sim and started my journey watching Bardwell's playlist on how to fly an FPV drone. I watched a few videos and had gotten to a point where I was able to fly forward better than the day before, but am now introduced to a turn in my route. This will be my hardest challenge yet. Bardwell explained the controls in a way I really needed to hear before I tried to fly the first time, but I was excited to get my hands on the simulator, so I dove right in before that. But it was truly a game changer, and this was the beginning of me pushing the drone in ways I didn't in my first couple of hours, applying what I picked up from my studying. The drone is a slippery little critter, but I will continue to try my best to control it.
Nice.
As you can see, my excitement can barely be contained. This went on for some time. I could make the turn about 30% of the time and was ecstatic to even vaguely understand how to turn, as this is obviously a crucial fundamental in controlling the drone. At this point, there are still many missing factors in my flying, accuracy being one of them, but you can see some of my learning is sticking. I am flying, and this is the best feeling in the world.